Hey everybody, it is about 24 hours before the start of the game. The Seattle Seahawks traveling down to Arizona to take on the Cardinals, and Josh Rosen in his first ever NFL start. So that's kind of interesting. Um, I liked Rosen in college. I didn't love him or anything, but I did get the sense that he was going to be a good pro. I liked him more than Darnold, honestly. I definitely liked him more as a pro than Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or any of those guys. The only guy I liked better was Baker. So I like Rosen. I think he's going to be a good pro, but there should be some advantages there. There should be something we can do there with a rookie playing in his first ever NFL start that produce a victory. So I'm going to say that right up front. I expect to win, but why can't we have a peaceful off week, guys? Why can't the middle of the week ever just go completely as planned? And of course, I'm talking about this injury report, which it might not be anything too bad, but it's enough to make me concerned because every week we get surprises on this injury report, and it feels like we as a team might be doing something wrong because people are just having a hard time staying healthy. The good news, we get Baldwin back. But we cannot take that one step forward without taking another step back because Chris Carson showed up on the injury report and he's questionable. Everybody expects him to play, but that is not what I need to be hearing right now with the best running back on this team and the only guy on this team as of right now who has shown that he can produce in this offense in terms of running the ball. So that's not exciting. Rasheem Green did not practice all week. He is out. Um, it might not seem like a good deal. I know there are people out there, there are Seahawks fans out there who are going to say, well, he wasn't doing anything anyway, so what's the big deal? And you're right, he wasn't really playing that much. He wasn't really doing very much of anything at all. But guys, this defensive line needs every little bit of help they can get. If Rasheem Green can get pressure on the quarterback one time in a game, one time, that is very valuable to this team because, guys, I saw something today and it kind of confirmed what I was already afraid of. Actually, I saw it yesterday, but um, Pro Football Focus ranks our defensive line the worst in the NFL. Not one of the worst, not bottom five, not bottom three, the worst. They say that Frank Clark is really good, Jaron Reed is pretty good, and everybody else is trash, which I kind of already knew. But according to those guys, and look, I don't believe everything that Pro Football Focus says at all. In fact, I think some of their rankings are dumb. But when it comes to the offensive lines and defensive lines, I think they do a pretty good job. So we have quite possibly the worst defensive line in football. And to lose a guy even as small time as Rasheem Green, that matters. Dion Jordan not practicing most of the week and being questionable, and we don't know if he's going to play, that matters too. Not that Dion Jordan was being super productive, but whatever little you think of Dion, he is one of the best we have up there. So that's also not a friendly sight to me because one of the best ways we can take advantage of this rookie quarterback is to get pressure on him. Well, we don't get pressure very well anyway. Now you're telling me we're going to be without Rasheem Green, maybe no Dion Jordan. It's not good. You don't want to let the rookie quarterback be comfortable in his first ever start and just be able to make throws. Ethan Posick probably not going to play tomorrow as well. CJ Prosise probably not going to play as well. I'm not going to sweat those things so much, really. I mean, whatever. It's not going to affect our fate too much, but that defensive line, if there's one thing we got to worry about right now, really, with this team, I know they played pretty well against Dallas, but Dallas has real problems on their offensive line, so I don't know how seriously to even take that. So, yeah, I'm still waiting for the week where we just take steps forward in terms of getting these injured players back without taking steps back. And right now, every time we take a step forward, it seems like we take a step back. The good news is we are getting Doug Baldwin back, and that's huge, obviously. 3 games this year we've seen us play basically with no Baldwin because he barely played week 1, and people just don't get open that well. Tyler Lockett gets open sometimes. Once or twice a game, Jerron Brown will get open, but we we were counting on Wilson to make some perfect throws over the past few games, and sometimes he was up to it, sometimes he wasn't. So I'm a little concerned about bringing him back this quickly because I thought with the situation that Baldwin found himself in, where both of his legs were messed up, he could miss a long time. So to me, bringing him back 3 weeks after his second knee injury was kind of the most optimistic I could be. And to me, I'm a little concerned we're bringing him back too early. But until I see something bad happen, I cannot help but be excited. So I'm going to be excited to have him back. I'm going to believe he helps our offense. And, that Arizona defense has some good players. They have a bunch of injuries on their defensive line, too. We don't know if they're going to have Nimkichdi or Robert Nimkichdi or however you pronounce his name. I can't remember. We don't know about Corey Peters or Olsen Pierre. They have some of their own problems, too, on their lines. Both of their lines have a couple of at least semi-significant issues going on. So, to me, we should be able to put up points on Arizona, especially when you consider the fact that they've lost some of the coaches that over the last few years have caused them to be so effective on defense against us. So I expect this offense to put up a lot of points. I expect this offense to produce, especially with Baldwin back, particularly if Carson goes, which I hear he is going to. And even though I'm really concerned about our defensive line, I'm concerned about our ability to take advantage of a bad Arizona offensive line. I think this is a week where I can reasonably count on the offense to score enough to win, but we have to take this one seriously. Josh Rosen, even though he's making his first ever NFL start, if we give him all day in the pocket, he will make throws. Arizona, they played well last week against the Bears. They still have talent on that defense. They've lost some of the coaches that made them really good, but they still have good players, and we cannot afford to take anybody lightly, especially on the road. We cannot take anything for granted. We cannot assume that anything is going to be automatic, and we just need to win the game because I'll give you there's reason to be optimistic about where this team is headed this year right now, but you lose a game like this, all that optimism is going to immediately dry up. So yeah, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to play well on offense. I think we're going to score some points, but take nothing for granted and just get out of there with the win. I mean, I just want to see this injury report start to get clean because every week I wait for it to get clean, and every week it just isn't happening. So, go Hawks. Let's go get the win. And as you guys can see, I'm wearing a kind of new fleece, Seattle Seahawks fleece. But I also want to show my very faded, very old, very much about to retire Seattle Mariner shirt. If you guys can barely make out the Mariner logo and maybe the word Seattle Mariners on there. Yeah, last 2 games, tonight and tomorrow. I'll make a video about the Mariners at some point because they had a really good season and they got, in my opinion, pretty damn unlucky. But they played hard. They probably played way above their heads. I don't think they could have done much better than they did. And I want to rep them because I watched probably at least part of 140 to 150 games this year, and they did as good as they could. I really believe that. So shout out to the Mariners. Let's go Hawks, and onward and upward.